I like it so much that I have to repeat it, because it's also something that when you repeatedly hear it, it reinforces things. Because I guarantee everybody, when they hear this story, will be like, yeah, I know that. I know that. But when life takes over, you don't remember because you don't have that time. You don't have that gap to think before you react. But this is the story of the Zen farmer, where there's no such thing as good luck or bad luck. Okay, so this Zen farmer was, quite poor, and he was working on his farm. And one day, one of his horses escaped. The neighbor came up to him and said, I heard that your horse escaped. That's terrible. What bad luck. So this Zen farmer just smiled and looked at him and said, maybe. And so the neighbor went away. A couple of days later, the horse returned and brought with it 3 other horses. Okay, so obviously the neighbor's like, oh my gosh, I heard about the horses. You now have 4 horses. You are so lucky. You have such good luck. And the farmer just looked at him again with the same expression and said, maybe. Then one day, the farmer's son was helping him in the fields, and he was trying to help to tame the horses. So he gets on one of the wild horses, and unfortunately, there's an accident. The son gets thrown off the horse and breaks his leg. The neighbor comes sauntering back. Oh, I heard about your son. That's terrible luck. You have such bad luck. Farmer looks at him again. Maybe. The week later, the general comes, and he's recruiting young men for the army. Now, since his son has broken his leg, he's not fit and healthy to join them. And so he's pardoned. He's okay not to join this army. And the neighbor comes running over. You're so lucky. You're so lucky your son doesn't have to go, and he can stay with you and help you. And the farmer just looks at him. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I can go on and on. And this story can go on and on, obviously. But the purpose of this story, or the meaning behind it, is there is actually nothing where you can say that is something good or that's something bad. It depends on how you look at it. And obviously, if you're looking just at the present moment and how you're feeling, okay, you lose a horse. Of course, that's not good because you need that horse for your livelihood. And you'll think automatically, oh no, what am I going to do? But if you step back and allow things to happen, and, obviously not just let fate take its course, but allow things to play out, and you doing the best you can as well, things normally have a way of working themselves out, and sometimes even better. And that's the important thing in life. And I just want you to quickly think about something in your own life where you thought, oh, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And make sure it's in the past, not right now. And has there ever been anything that's happened to you that was a disaster that actually you look back now and think, you know what? I'm so lucky that actually happened, because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today, doing what I'm doing today, and living the life that I have. And if you really think about it, this happens more than once. It's not something that only happens once in a while. This is something that happens all the time because it's your mindset. It's how you look at things. It's not just the present moment for this situation. It's the long-term versus short-term. Obviously, when you think about it, we want things that we want. We don't want to lose things. We don't want to make mistakes. We don't want people to treat us badly or anything. But when you really think about it, has there ever been anybody who's had a life where they got everything they wanted? And would that actually be a good life? So how many things have you done in your life, whether it's your career or worked on your relationships or whatever, where you've put so much hard work and effort into it, and things don't always happen and things don't always work out. But when they do, you feel the satisfaction, you feel the gratitude, you feel all of those wonderful things because you know what? I earned this. I worked for this. And you developed things like patience, perseverance, all of those traits that are really valuable to have. Now, if you were that person that, okay, I met somebody. Oop, the first person I love, I'm going to marry them. Oh, I applied for this job. Oh, I got my dream job. Oh, this is what I'm going to do. Your life would be very different. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you miss out on a lot of the journey, and that's very important as well. So think of this story. Think of your experiences. Anytime something negative happens to you, think about, you know what? I know at the moment you might not be feeling very good, but step back, maybe do a little bit of breathing, do a little bit of your meditation, because that helps with the awareness as well. And again, doing everything you can that's under your control. Let things play out. And I promise you, they're not always going to be as bad as you think. Things happen in cycles. And again, there's no such thing as something bad that's happening. It's just something that's happening. And maybe something needs to happen in order for you to make room for something else in your life to come around. Okay, so my favorite story, I always love it, and I always try to think about it. So try to think about it as much as you can and apply it to your own life. All right. And remember, before things get cleansed, they need to come to the surface first. So that's the amazing thing about the full moon. It brings things to the surface, which is why you might feel that little bit of extra irritation or, those types of lower emotions. So hopefully a lot of that's been flushed away. And I know it's different when you're going through something. It's easier to look in hindsight and to say, yes, thank goodness that happened. But while it was happening, you were probably full of turmoil and everything. Nobody knows what the right answer is, because there is no right or wrong. Everything is a series of events that happen. Something happens, it causes something else to happen, which causes something else to happen. You can only do your best. Be who you are. Be authentic and genuine to yourself, and as much as you can to other people, right? You cannot control other people. Now, saying that doesn't mean this person is good and this person is bad. I am good or I am bad. It is what it is for a reason, and that needs to be accepted. And I think, going back to the story, if you simplify it, because things are complicated, and if you keep it complicated, you'll never be able to find a way out. You just overcomplicate everything because all of the emotions get in the way. But if you simplify it and go, okay, I had a wish, I had a goal, I had a vision, and this is what I want my life to look like. Now that is one possibility that you have decided in your head, I want this because of whatever reason, because my parents were like that, because I know this is what I deserve, or this is how happy people live. We have all of these types of beliefs in our mind. Now, to my point, there is no right and wrong. Nobody inherently is good or bad, but things happen for a reason. Things trigger you for a reason. Sometimes they're meant to be worked out, and then you can develop something and it can go into your future. Sometimes that is something for yourself to develop, and not everything is meant to be carried forward. People enter our lives for a reason, some for a moment, some for a little bit longer until we learn our lessons, and some for a lifetime. But each and every one of those encounters are very important. You can't put more weight on this person stayed in my life longer, so they're more important. Some people come into your life for a brief moment, trigger a lot of stuff in you for you to develop something within yourself, and then you can move forward. And I can argue that is more valuable for your evolution than somebody who's been comfortable with you for the past so long, and somebody who, oh yes, agrees with you and does things that you enjoy together. Of course, that's lovely, and that's something that you enjoy and they've comforted you. However, in terms of growth, that's not what their purpose was. Their purpose wasn't necessarily to help you grow. But the person that triggered you, whether they were in your life for a week or 25 years or however long. Okay. Sometimes the problem is we hold on too tight, even if it's not something we want. Okay. Because we have a thought in our head, this is what I want it to be. And again, I'm not claiming I know the answer. I don't. But all I know is that from what I've learned, from what I've studied, from what I've seen with other people, if you have a repeating pattern in your life, and you've tried this, and you've tried that, and you've tried forgiveness, and you've tried to make things work, and you've tried to work on yourself and everything, and those problems keep coming back, maybe there's another reason or another outcome that's supposed to happen. And it's like what Buddha said, pain is necessary, but suffering is optional. We need to experience pain to grow, and it's part of life. But when you're holding on to something and you're meant to let go, that causes suffering. You know, when you're in your meditation and it's just let go, and you're like, well, let go of what? Let go of what? You need to let go of expectations of any kind of, this is how I want it to be, because it's you trying to control everything. And that's why it hurts, because you're not getting anywhere, or you're not getting to what you want. But there might be a reason for that. Sometimes there's something around the corner that's just waiting for you, the next milestone. But you're holding on to something so tight that you're not able to reach that. So it's that letting go and trusting. Okay, you know what? I've done everything in my control. Something doesn't sit right. Something doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't sit right, it doesn't feel right, it might hurt, it might feel bad, but it's not the end of the world, because if it's meant to be, it will resolve. Some things are out of your control, but maybe there's a bigger lesson that needs to come into play here. And maybe you just need to step in another direction for you to be able to see what's around that corner.